Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make are cookies. And they are easy cookies, but they are good cookies. This is a recipe that it's very similar to the chocolate chip cookies that many of us, remember buying when we went to the malls for shopping at the shopping centers and that kind of thing. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close to that famous cookie that I'm talking about. I'm going to be giving you the recipe right up front, so if you want to jot it down on pen and pencil and something to write it down, because I no longer put the recipe below the video any longer, so I'm really sorry about that. So hopefully I'm going to go through slowly enough, clearly enough, that you're going to be able to get all the ingredients if you want to give this recipe a try, and I hope you do. So let's talk about our dry ingredients first. You're going to need 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to put ½ teaspoon of baking soda. That's ½ teaspoon. And then you're also going to be putting in ¼ teaspoon of salt. And then with my little whisk here, I'm just going to give it a good stir. And then we're going to just set the dry ingredients aside till we need them in a little bit. So now we want to start creaming our butter. So what you're going to need is 1 cup of butter, and that's 2 sticks of cold butter. I cut it up into small pieces because I think it's quicker and faster to cream it. So that's 2 sticks of butter. And I'm going to turn my mixer on, and I'm going to warn you about the sound because it can be a little loud. Now, once you break up your butter and start to cream it, you're going to add brown sugar. You're going to need 1 cup of brown sugar. Now you can put light or dark, whatever you prefer or whatever you have. And I'm going to beat that together. Now you're going to spend some time creaming this, and I would suggest 3 or 4 minutes, but I'm going to move it along due to the video. You're also going to be needing granulated sugar, so you'll need 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Now I'm just going to get to the sides of my mixing bowl a little bit because it tends to stick down at the bottom and at the sides. So I'm just going to bring that together, and again I'm going to turn on the mixer. Again, once you start to really cream this all together and it's nice and silky and smooth, then we're going to add 1 egg, and we've had 2 eggs, at room temperature, but 1 egg at a time is what I meant to say. And then once again, I'm going to clean those sides up a little bit of that mixing bowl and try to get to the bottom a little bit. All right. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to need vanilla, of course, and we're going to put 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And again, spend some time doing this because you really want it to be blended well and mixed well and light and fluffy. Okay? Clean that up a little bit. All right. The next thing we're going to do is to add those dry ingredients that we brought together just a few minutes ago. And I'm going to put a little at a time. And this you don't want to beat too much. Just make sure that it's all combined well. Okay. And the next thing that we're going to put in, and you can certainly fold these in by hand, are your morsels, your chocolate chip morsels. You can use dark chocolate, semi-sweet, whatever flavor that you want to put in. Traditionally it is chocolate, but I mean it makes a a great base for butterscotch cookie with butterscotch chips, and that's 2 cups. Now, you can fold those in, because I know a lot of people, you worry you don't want to break them up and you don't want those morsels to lose their integrity. But I like to just put mine on that few minutes so that I have even distribution. But again, do it by hand if you prefer, and folding in those chocolate chips, those morsels. Now I'm just going to take my paddle out, take off my excess. Now, the only bad thing about this recipe, and there really isn't anything really bad about it, but it's that it should be chilled, because the cookie is going to come out a lot nicer if you do. So now I'm just going to show you what the cookie dough looks like and give it a good spin here in a mix and show you. Oh, it smells so good. And you can see it's quite sticky when it's first made. So what you'll want to do is you want to chill it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. Or what I like to do is I actually put it in my freezer for about, oh, I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes. You don't want to freeze it, but it chills it fast. But if you prefer, just put some plastic wrap over it and in a bowl, or if you want to put it in a piece of saran wrap, make 2 or 3 mounds of it and put it in your refrigerator just so that you chill it. You don't want to bake it while it's warm. Now I just wanted to rinse my hands there. Okay, the next thing, of course, you're going to need a cookie tray or a cookie pan. What's nice about this, if you want to go ahead and use your parchment paper, as I am, you want to use your mats, that kind of thing. Or if you don't like those or don't have those, just you can lightly spray it with an oil if you want, and you can do that too. Now on the scoop that I'm using, I don't have a number on it to give you, but it's about equivalent to a little less than 1/4 cup of cookie dough. Now you could certainly make these cookies smaller if you want. You're going to get anywhere from about 18 to 20 cookies at this size. I like to use the scoop myself because I think they come out more uniform. Now you'll want to keep them at least 2 inches apart. I'm not going to bore you to put them all down on the paper, but you get an idea, okay? Now, again, when it's chilled, what I'd like to do is show you the cookie dough once it's really chilled. And here is some that I have in this bowl. And I'm just going to put those down. You can almost see a little bit of a color difference from when they're chilled. They're lighter in color when they were warm, just being made. here, and when you chill them, they look, it doesn't affect the cookie at all, but you can clearly see the one that's chilled and not chilled. So put them about 2 inches apart, and you're going to bake them at 300 degrees, and they can take you anywhere from 15 to 17 minutes. It really depends on your oven, and you know our ovens all set up so differently. So, you know, I actually start checking mine, in about 8 or 9 minutes, that type of thing. If you're going to bake 2 at a time, you know, break up your time in half and then rotate them, unless you just want to bake 1 tray at a time. But again, it's at 300 degrees. It is lower than most cookies that we're used to baking at, but the 300 does a beautiful job on these cookies. And you remind you too that you don't want to over mix that, and I think I mentioned it earlier, but it bears repeating. When they do come out though, do let them just cool on the tray. I wouldn't even attempt to try to move them to a cooling rack, because they will crack, they will break. So what I do is I just let them cool for about that 8 minutes when they've settled nicely. And for myself, I just pull the paper off, put it on my counter to the rest of the cooling. But you know, I wouldn't try to remove them when they first come out of the oven. Now I'm going to rinse my hands quickly, because I'd like to show you what the finished product looks like. And this is how they turn out. They're going to make just beautiful large cookies, you know, with a nice golden brown on the bottom. Also, if you'd like for your chocolate chips to really show up on the top, just reserve a little bit extra on the side and just put a couple of them on the top, 3 or 4, if you want that. And they just make a beautiful, beautiful cookie. They really do. And they are a chewy cookie. They're a moist cookie. They're not real dry or, you know, and I wouldn't say, I think they're actually between a chewy cookie and almost like they have like a cake type quality to them, but they're more of a chewy cookie. And then I don't know if you can see it as I just press them together. Oh my gosh, how chewy. These just melt in your mouth. They are great with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or dunk them in some cold milk. They're absolutely delicious chocolate chip cookies. And they're, you know, really pretty easy to make, and they freeze well. Just wrap them quite well in the freezer and take them out as you need them. But generally when I make these, they're gone. They don't even make it to the freezer. So there you have it. You have a copy of a great tasting cookie, as I mentioned in the beginning. And again, I'm sorry that I don't put the recipes down anymore, because it's just not worth it, the time and effort. And I'm not alone on this, but I've gotten so tired of seeing my work pinned and posted and taken you know, to other sites, and people claiming my work is theirs, that what's so frustrating is that I always say at this point, if you try this recipe and you like it, leave a comment, because I'd like to hear from you. Well, when people write and my work is on other sites and I can't answer you, it's so frustrating. And that's what made me decide not to put the work into putting the recipes anymore. And again, I'm not alone on it, that's for sure. So if you do try them, gee, you know, or you have a question, I'll do my very best to answer in a timely fashion. And please remember that all my videos, and only my videos, are placed on YouTube. That's the only place on my channel, Diane Lovetobake, on YouTube. And I want to thank you again for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. To stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.